icers to guide her toward the side exit behind the curtain. She held her head high, sapphire brooch winking under stage lights, the flash drive clutched like a compass pointing true north. Behind her, the hall buzzed louder than the opening hymn, students texting, parents whispering, faculty trading stunned looks. The commencement, once choreographed down to the second, was now rewritten in real time, centered on a daughter who refused to stay invisible. And for the first time all morning, Nia felt seen. The oak doors of Woolsey Hall groaned shut behind them, leaving the family and a few officials standing in Yale's marble rotunda. Above, a domed skylight scattered noon light across checkered floors, making every anxious face look a shade paler. The music and chatter of commencement were now distant, muffled by thick stone walls. 2 campus police officers took positions beside the entrance, arms folded, radios clicking softly. Alexis hovered near Nia, gripping the edge of her graduation hood like it was a life preserver. Charles and Margaret Carter stayed several paces away, whispering in urgent bursts. "Press will spin it. Keep calm, it's only paperwork." A short, silver-haired man in a navy suit hurried in, laptop tucked under his arm. He introduced himself with a clipped nod. #Mr. Singh, University Counsel, I'm Ravi Singh. Dean Wexler asked me to review whatever evidence you have. Nia acknowledged him, swallowed, and pulled a slim USB drive from her pocket, the same rocket-shaped one Geordie had teased her about. Her hand shook, but her voice stayed level. #Nia, everything you need is here, emails, bank statements, the false will. Singh set his laptop on a marble pedestal that once held a bust of a long-dead benefactor. He booted up, the fan whirring loud in the cavernous space. Nia knelt to plug in the USB, the sapphire brooch on her lapel glinting under the skylight. Upload bars filled the screen. Alexis edged closer, eyes red but curious. Charles loosened his tie, sweat darkened the collar despite the hall's cool air. Singh opened the first folder, Rosemont liquidation. Lines of emails filled the display. #Singh, reading aloud, calm. #subject, urgent liquidation request. From mccarter@verizon.net to Bluefinch Devs app. Attachment, wiring instructions. Signed, Margaret Carter, power of attorney. #next email, same subject, but from Carter @ dot. He clicked a PDF labeled wire_transfer_report. Bold red highlights marked 7 payments totaling $1.4 million. The echo inside the rotunda faded into silence, only the laptop keys clicked. #Singh, these look authentic, timestamps, routing numbers, all there. He looked up, eyes steady behind rimless glasses. Mrs. Carter, Mr. Carter, any comment? Margaret pressed her clutch purse so tight the clasp squealed. Margaret, voice brittle, those are drafts. Our financial planner said we needed to simulate scenarios for estate taxes. Charles cleared his throat, trying for a soothing baritone he often used in fundraising galas. Charles, forcing a chuckle, exactly. Clerical mistake. We never finalized anything. The bank must have. Singh double-clicked the next file, bank receipt final.pdf, bearing the bank's digital seal and a funds released stamp. He raised an eyebrow. Singh, clerical mistakes don't usually trigger multi-step verifications and final release codes. Margaret's mouth snapped shut. Nia took a slow step forward, pulling another folder from her bag. Inside was the blown-up comparison of signatures, Grandma Louise's graceful loops versus the jagged scrawl on the so-called amendment. She placed it beside the laptop. Nia, quiet but firm, Grandma's neurologist certified her handwriting 6 months after the real will. She never wrote like this. Alexis touched the paper, tracing the shaky L with trembling fingertips. A tear slipped free. #Alexis, softly, I can't believe. Mom, Dad, why? Charles opened his mouth, then closed it, words refused to come. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple. One officer clicked his pen and pulled out a small notebook. The other rested a hand near his radio mic. Nia reached into her blazer's inner pocket. You hawked everything else, she said, voice suddenly louder, but not this. She produced the velvet box and flipped it open. The sapphire brooch shimmered, throwing blue sparks onto the white marble. Margaret's eyes locked on the gem, greed, guilt, and fury battling in one glare. She lurched forward, heels scraping. That belongs in the family safe. Reflexively, Nia stepped back. The nearest campus police officer raised his arm, body-blocking Margaret with practiced ease. #Officer Ramirez, ma'am, please keep a respectful distance. Margaret bristled. She stole that from me. Nia held the brooch at shoulder height, catching the skylight so the stone flared even brighter. #Nia, I reclaimed it. Grandma set it aside for my commissioning ceremony. You said the clasp was broken, remember? Then you locked it away. Singh cleared his throat, redirecting focus. Let's all remain civil. Miss Carter, do you have proof tying the brooch to the original will? Nia produced a phone photo, Grandma Louise in her garden, pinning the brooch onto Nia's ROTC dress uniform. Date stamp, April 15, 2018. The attorney nodded, satisfied. Charles ran a shaking hand through thinning hair. We were protecting assets, he muttered, voice barely above a whisper. Singh's fingers flew over the keyboard. Asset protection is legal when transparent. Forging a will, however, carries felony penalties under Connecticut Statute Section 53-452. Margaret's composure cracked. This is family business. You can't charge us like common criminals. Alexis spoke up, voice trembling but clear. Grandma trusted us to honor her wishes. Hiding theft behind the word family doesn't make it right. Silence hung, thick as humidity before a storm. Even the officers seemed to breathe quieter. Singh closed the laptop. I'm forwarding these files to Yale Police Financial Crimes Unit and to the probate court. The university has an ethical duty when events of potential fraud surface on campus grounds. Charles swayed, gripping a marble banister. Is there any way to settle this quietly? Nia fixed him with calm eyes that held 10 years of disappointments. Quiet was what you counted on. Those days are gone. Margaret's gaze darted, eyes glassy. Then, without warning, she lunged again, arm outstretched toward the brooch, purse swinging like a blunt weapon. The second officer intercepted, gripping her wrist, not roughly, but firmly enough to halt the motion. Officer Nguyen, ma'am, step back. Level 1 assault on campus officials can add charges. Don't make this worse. Margaret froze, breathing hard. Her pearl necklace rose and fell like a saw blade. Nia lowered the jewel into its box, snapping it shut with finality. The tiny click echoed louder than expected, like a gavel. Under the skylight's glare, truths lay exposed, digital receipts, forged names, and a sapphire no amount of schemes could hide. Marble walls, once mere architecture, now felt like silent judges hearing every ragged breath. Singh addressed the group, voice even. Until investigators arrive, I recommend everyone remain available, refrain from contact outside legal counsel, and he didn't finish. The rotunda's heavy doors opened again, revealing two uniformed Yale detectives and a reporter peering over a cameraman's shoulder. Flashbulbs popped. But that next moment, the spill into public view, belonged to another chapter. For now, the Carter family remained under the dome's hard light, surrounded by cold stone, hot guilt, and the blue heart of a brooch that proved some truths can't be pawned away. News vans ringed the Yale quad like bright-colored delivery trucks by supper time, satellite dishes pointed to the stars. On every local channel the headlines scrolled the same way: parents face fraud probe after daughter's onstage reveal. Clips ran on repeat, Nia in her blue blazer stepping to the spare microphone, Margaret shouting for security, the dean freezing mid-clap. One station even slapped a slow-motion filter on the moment Alexis left the podium to hug her sister, graphic ribbon flaring, sibling solidarity. Phones buzzed non-stop. TikTokers stitched the footage with shocked emojis. A lawyer on YouTube broke down 3 possible felony counts before dessert. Alexis, still in her cap and gown, sat cross-legged on a dorm room floor and uploaded a clear photo of grandmother Louise's original will. Her caption read, #The truth deserves daylight. #Justice for Nia. Within an hour the tag trended statewide. Under the post, strangers wrote, "Proud of you too," and "Get that inheritance, Queen." One commenter offered pro bono handwriting analysis, another linked a therapist who specialized in family betrayal. Charles Carter saw the storm gathering and moved fast. By dawn he had drafted 2 resignation emails, one to the Fairfield Children's Literacy Fund, another to the Downtown Rotary Arts Council. Each letter cited, "personal matters requiring my full attention." It sounded polite, almost noble, yet donors read between the lines and quietly scrubbed his name from upcoming galas. That same gray dawn, Nia and Alexis ducked into the 24-hour Elm Street diner, a narrow place that smelled of burnt espresso and powdered sugar no matter the hour. Graduation balloons drooped near the register, a sleepy barista ignored them and wiped yesterday's crumbs into her palm. The sisters slid into a booth by the fogged-over window. Nia's blazer was wrinkled, Alexis's hairpin still held a last strand of confetti. They ordered 2 bottomless coffees that tasted like charcoal and training day nerves. For a full minute they said nothing. Spoon handles tapped ceramic mugs, ice machine clacked behind the counter. Finally Alexis spoke, voice small. "I keep replaying your face on that stage," she whispered, eyes fixed on the swirl of cream in her cup. "You looked untouchable. But also like you might cry." Nia's mouth quirked into a crooked, tired smile. "I replay Grandma saying, truth always gets the last word. Guess today it finally did." She toyed with a paper napkin, tearing it into neat strips. "Honestly, Lex, I was terrified. Thought my voice would crack right when I needed it." "It didn't," Alexis said. "You sounded like a lawyer on closing arguments." "Funny, might need one of those now." Nia set the napkin pieces in a precise pile. "Okay, next steps. Civil suit to void the forged will. Reopen probate court. Maybe freeze any remaining funds before they vanish." Alexis nodded, jotting a checklist on the back of her ceremony program. Possible criminal charges, forgery and financial exploitation of the elderly. She paused, pen hovering. "And therapy. For both of us." Nia blew on her coffee. "Yeah. Can't sue away nightmares." A group of freshmen in Yale hoodies shuffled in for cinnamon rolls, eyes widening when they recognized the sisters. One whispered, "That's them," before another dragged him by the sleeve. The spotlight felt strange, half support, half spectacle. Nia's phone pinged every few seconds. She flipped its screen down. "What are people saying?" Alexis asked. "Mostly thumbs up emojis and lawyer ads," Nia sighed. "Some trolls, spoiled kid drama, that kind of junk. Blocking them is free." Alexis looked at her hands. "I should have noticed sooner. Mom kept me so busy with scholarship forums and luncheons, I never dug deeper." "You were 17, Lex. Dad still signs your FAFSA." Nia reached across the table, brushed sugar crystals off her sister's sleeve. "Love means fixing things when they break, not blaming each other for the crack." The barista refilled their mugs, flavor unchanged. Outside, a low roar rose, reporters repositioning beyond the diner's frosted glass. Camera lights flashed like heatless lightning, silhouettes shifting. "They found us," Alexis murmured. Nia glanced over her shoulder. Tripods pointed at the door, microphones sprouted like metal flowers. Some journalists tried for a reflection shot through the foggy pane. "I'm surprised it took them this long," Nia said, voice dry. She patted her blazer's inner pocket until her fingers touched velvet. "The brooch." She pulled it out carefully. Under the diner's fluorescent bulbs the sapphire looked darker, almost navy, the diamonds mild sparks in a cheap jewelry case world. She unpinned the clasp, reattached it to her lapel with slow, deliberate movements. "You sure you want to flaunt that right now?" Alexis asked. "It's not flaunting," Nia answered. She smoothed the fabric. "It's proof that some legacies are stolen only until someone is brave enough to take them back." She rolled her shoulders, testing the weight. "Feels lighter than guilt." Alexis stared, half smiling through damp eyes. "Grandma would be proud." Nia's phone pinged again. She flipped it over, message from Attorney Kravitz, "Let's schedule a consult tomorrow, evidence looks strong." She showed Alexis. They bunked mugs in a silent toast. Outside, a reporter tapped the glass politely, mouthing, 2 minutes. Nia held up a finger, 1 moment, and the woman nodded, stepping back. "Ready?" Nia asked. Alexis exhaled, pushing her program notes into her tote. "Ready to be poor for a while, maybe sued back, definitely overanalyzed by strangers." "Not really." "Ready to stand next to you?" "Always." They slid out of the booth. The barista waved, half curious, half sympathetic. The doorbell chimed as they stepped onto the sidewalk. Microphones thrust forward. "Nia, will you press criminal charges?" "Alexis, do you fear backlash from donors? Any comment on your father's resignations?" The sisters exchanged a quick glance, deciding not to speak yet, and linked arms instead. Sunlight edged over the library tower, catching the sapphire so it flared electric blue. Cameras clicked madly at the flash of color. Alexis leaned closer, whispered, "Whatever happens next, we control the truth." Nia smiled, not the tired half-smile from a minute ago, but a full one that crinkled the corners of her eyes. "Truth," she echoed, and together they walked forward through the crowd, the brooch shining like a lighthouse against storm clouds of flashes and questions, a small, steady beacon reclaimed. "At my sister's graduation, my parents disowned me, then screamed when I unveiled their secret." Nia Carter clutched the blue and silver ticket as she stepped onto the wide stone steps outside Yale's Woolsey Hall. The morning sun bounced off dozens of satin tassels, and the smell of fresh coffee drifted over from street carts. It felt like a day meant for family pride. Her kid sister Alexis was valedictorian. Relatives had flown in from 3 states. Nia smoothed her thrift store blazer and joined the line for reserved seating. A brass quintet rehearsed Pomp and Circumstance. Inside, each note made her heart beat faster. At the gate a white-gloved usher scanned tickets with a soft beep, handed out glossy programs, and waved people through iron rails. Nia held out her envelope and opened her mouth to joke, "Proud big sister, coming through." Before the usher could answer, her mother's voice cut the warm air. "Security said guests only. Hand over the ticket, Nia." Margaret Carter strode over in a pearl-gray dress that looked like it cost more than Nia's rent. The usher blinked. "She's on the list if the barcode." Margaret's manicured hand sliced the space between them. "There's been a mix-up. Our family section is full." Heat crawled up Nia's neck. "Mom, Alexis sent me this. She wants me here." Charles Carter, her father, arrived a half-step behind, wearing his polite country club smile. "Let's not ruin Alexis's moment," he said quietly, like he was correcting a waiter. "Step aside." Nia's grip tightened, crumpling the ticket. "Dad, I took the red-eye. I haven't even seen Lex yet." A campus guard nearby shifted, radio crackling. Tourists raised phones, thinking the confrontation might be news. Margaret leaned closer, voice sharp as a pin. "You will not drag us into one of your episodes today. Give me the ticket." "I'm not making a scene," Nia replied. "I'm here to celebrate." Margaret turned to the usher. "Please send her to general admission. Back row." Stung, Nia stepped out of line and grabbed a program from a passing stack. She flipped to page 4. A family photo showed her parents and Alexis in front of their farmhouse, 3 bright smiles. The caption read, "Margaret, Charles, and Alexis Carter. No oldest daughter." Her vision blurred. She blinked hard and the courtyard seemed to tilt. A cameraman swung his lens toward the tension. Margaret caught his elbow, pasted on a pageant grin, and chirped, "Wonderful day, isn't it?" She steered him away from Nia as if she were bad press. The usher cleared his throat. "Miss, you can still sit inside, just not in the reserved rows." Nia inhaled. She pictured Alexis backstage, lip caught between teeth the way she did when nervous. Alexis deserved to see her cheering, even from the shadows. "Fine," Nia said softly. "Show me where." Inside the vaulted hall, cool stone calmed the summer heat. The usher led her to a lone folding chair behind the woodwinds, half hidden by music stands. It felt like exile, but at least it was a seat. Nia lowered herself as the orchestra tuned, strings squeaking, brass coughing to pitch. Up front her parents glided to padded seats, shaking hands with donors. Margaret laughed, a glass bell sound Nia once tried to copy. She traced the edge of the program, smelling fresh ink. Every detail had been controlled, the edited photo, the reserved passes, even Alexis's bio thanking her loving parents. How long had they planned to crop Nia out? A clarinetist dropped a reed, the small clatter echoed inside Nia. She clenched her fists, then forced them open. A gray-haired woman squeezed past, whispering, "Tight squeeze back here." "Better than watching online," Nia answered, managing a smile. Trumpets sounded a 5-minute warning. House lights brightened. Above, organ pipes towered like silver trees. Nia checked her phone. She had texted Alexis a selfie outside, "Made it. See you soon." But no bubbles appeared. Maybe the phone was off, maybe nerves. The guard from earlier poked his head in, counted seats, left. Nia's pulse slowed. They weren't removing her, she already occupied the least desirable chair. A student usher tied a blue ribbon across the empty chair beside Nia, marking it reserved for faculty. Even an absent professor outranked her. Heat flushed her cheeks, quickly followed by calm determination. The orchestra began the march. Graduates filed in, tassels swaying like small pendulums of hope. Nia craned her neck. Third row, center, there was Alexis. The moment Alexis spotted her sister in the shadows, her face lit up. She mouthed, "You made it." Nia rose halfway, hand over heart, nodding with a watery grin. Margaret, farther forward, noticed the silent exchange. She stiffened, whispering something to Charles, who turned but couldn't locate Nia in the dimness. Fine, Nia thought. Let them wonder which corner hides the daughter they tried to erase. She sat back as applause rolled over her in steady warm waves, sound that belonged to everyone, even a forgotten sister. A minute ticked by. Murmurs floated over the orchestra, proud aunts reciting GPAs, a father bragging about bonuses, a little boy asking whether the hats could fly away if wind came in. Each scrap of talk felt like a reminder of the normal family ease Nia rarely tasted. She pressed her palms together to keep them from shaking. Behind her, 2 faculty members chatted about sabbatical plans in Italy. One laughed, "Nothing ever really changes in academia except the tuition." The joke landed softly, but it still made Nia smile. At least humor was free. The stage lights brightened another notch, and dust motes glowed like tiny planets. Nia imagined one drifting down to her sleeve and carrying a whispered promise, "Stay visible, even in the dark." She breathed that thought in, straightened her spine, and adjusted the single silver stud in her ear, Grandma's gift, the only jewelry not sold years ago to cover overdue rent. Slowly, the noise settled to a hush so complete that even paper stopped rustling. Showtime was seconds away. Nia inhaled hope, exhaled fear, and fixed her gaze ahead on the waiting podium. Nia Carter sat at her small kitchen table, the only light coming from the cracked screen of her second-hand laptop. It was past midnight, and her eyes burned after a 12-hour shift at the startup, hours of debugging code for a product still trying to find its first paying customer. Cold noodles sat untouched beside the keyboard. She told herself she would eat after one more email. Then a bold subject line popped up, "Grandmother Louise estate, urgent." She clicked. A lawyer named Evan Kravitz wrote in clipped language. #Ms. Carter, please review the attached documents concerning the estate of Louise Carter. Note discrepancies in the 2019 and 2020 filings. Recommendations pending your acknowledgement. 2 PDF icons blinked. With a slow breath, Nia opened the first. It was her grandmother's will, dated February 12, 2019, the last winter Nia spent on active duty deployment overseas. The will's central clause jumped off the page. #I leave my entire real and personal estate, including the residence at 1145, Rosemont Drive, to my granddaughter, Nia Catherine Carter, in gratitude for her unwavering care and service. Nia's lungs tightened. She remembered pushing Grandma Louise's wheelchair through spring gardens, the old woman's laughter when robins landed on the feeder. Louise had promised, "The house will always be yours, honey. A nest you can come home to." Nia opened the second PDF, an updated will from August 2020. Same font but shakier signature, the elegant loops reduced to jagged scratches. The new clause read, #I rescind all prior bequests to my granddaughter Nia Catherine Carter and distribute my estate equally to my son Charles Carter and daughter-in-law Margaret Carter. Below, a notary stamp looked smudged. Nia knew her grandmother's signature. She had watched her sign birthday checks with a steady flourish even at 80. The L in Louise on this scan sagged like a broken fence. Her heart pounded. A third file, property sale confirmation, Rosemont Drive. Sale price, $1,250,000. Buyer, Blue Finch Developers. Wire instruction line, beneficiary, M. Carter. At that moment, the apartment door banged open. Geordie Lawson, her roommate, stumbled in wearing headphones and holding 2 gas station coffees. One cup flipped, splashing onto the linoleum. "Whoa, watch it," Nia muttered, pulling her laptop back as caffeine spread toward the power cord. "Sorry." Geordie grabbed paper towels. All-night coding playlist got me hyped. He noticed Nia's face. "You look like you just saw a ghost. Read this." She swiveled the screen. Geordie leaned close, water blue earbuds still glowing. He skimmed, eyebrows shooting up. "Hold up, this says you were Grandma's only heir." "Was," Nia corrected. Geordie clicked the second PDF. "This signature, it's like someone traced it with their eyes closed." Nia nodded, jaw clenched. "Exactly. Grandma's hands never shook like that." He opened the sale record. "And they sold the house while you were writing analytics reports in Afghanistan?" "I was sleeping in a shipping container trying to troubleshoot army drones," Nia said, voice cracking. "I came back, and Mom claimed the roof needed repairs they couldn't afford. She never mentioned a sale. She said taxes were higher, that's why the forwarding mail was a mess." Geordie dropped into the chair opposite her, sloshing what was left of his coffee. "They stole your inheritance and liquidated the house while you were on deployment?" Nia rubbed her temples. "Looks that way." "Does Alexis know any of this?" "She's been buried in honors coursework. Last semester she barely answered texts. But I doubt Mom and Dad told her." Geordie sat back, folding arms. "Okay, so what now? Lawyers? Court?" Nia shook her head. "I can't afford a retainer. Kravitz is just flagging irregularities. He said the estate file came up during an audit. If my parents stall, this could drag on years." She scrolled through the email again. At the bottom, Kravitz had added a terse postscript. #note, original estate jewelry remains unaccounted for. Nia's eyes drifted to her battered duffel under the table. She reached in and pulled out a tiny velvet box, deep navy, corners worn smooth. She popped it open. Inside lay her grandmother's sapphire brooch, a brilliant oval stone surrounded by 12 small diamonds, like a midnight sunburst. Geordie whistled. "That's worth serious cash." "It's not about money," Nia said, stroking the metal clasp. "Grandma tried to give this to me the night before I deployed." Mom interrupted, said she'd keep it safe. "I found it locked in her jewelry cabinet last Christmas and retrieved it." "Borrowed it back," Geordie amended, lips curling. "Stole it back," Nia corrected, shrugging. "Call it reclaiming property." She snapped the lid shut and returned the box to her blazer pocket hanging over the chair. The fabric sagged under the weight, small but solid, like truth itself. Geordie leaned forward. "So your plan is?" "Graduation day," Nia said, voice low. Mom and Dad will be in full display mode. Dean, donors, local press, they love that stuff. If I confront them privately, they'll spin lies. Publicly, they can't hide. Geordie rubbed his short curls. You're going to nuke them at Yale. That's bold. I'm not sabotaging Alexis. I'll wait until after her speech. But I need them all in one place, cornered. They can't tell me to wait until we're home. He exhaled. Evidence. Nia clicked Save As on each PDF, then dragged them into a folder labeled Truth Bomb. She copied the folder to a flash drive shaped like a cartoon rocket, a gag gift from Geordie. He grinned despite himself. Fitting. Lawyer said chain of custody matters, Nia muttered, noting file hashes in a notepad. If I hand over originals in front of witnesses, it forces an inquiry. She scrolled her phone, reading state statutes on probate fraud. Forgery of a will is a felony. So is elder exploitation. Geordie bit his lip. What if your parents claim grandma had dementia? Then we pull medical records, Nia answered. Her doctor wrote she had full cognitive capacity at every visit until her stroke in 2021, months after the so-called amendment. Geordie nodded slowly. Okay. Logistics, how do you get on stage? Alexis can help, Nia said. She put me on her guest list. If Mom tries to block me, I still have a general admission ticket. I just need proximity and a mic. Geordie raised his cup in mock toast. To righteous chaos. She allowed a small smile. To truth getting loud. Then her face hardened. I don't want revenge for revenge's sake. I want the record set straight. The house, the money, it's about Grandma's wishes. Geordie softened his voice. What if they apologize? Offer a settlement? Nia stared at the dark laptop screen, her own reflection faint. They won't. And an apology doesn't unsell a house. A train horn wailed outside, echoing through the thin apartment walls. Nia closed the lid gently. I have 2 weeks to prep. I'll compile timelines, notarize statements, maybe get handwriting analysis. I can help, Geordie offered. My cousin works at a print shop, we can blow up signatures poster size. Thanks. She stood, joints cracking. Right now I need sleep. Geordie hesitated. You sure you're okay? Nia let out a shaky breath. I'm angry, but I'm clear. Grandma always said, the truth can sit quiet for years, then stand up taller than any lie. It's time I stand up with it. She flicked off the kitchen light. In the darkness, the velvet box weighed against her chest, the sapphire inside catching no light yet shining all the same. The choir's final chord melted into the vaulted ceiling of Wolsey Hall, and the sea of caps settled. Alexis Carter, valedictorian medal glittering against her navy robe, stepped to the mahogany podium. Her voice, calm but bright, carried through rows of proud parents and restless graduates. Today, Alexis began, we celebrate not just achievement, but the belief that everyone, no matter their past, deserves a second chance. Nia Carter listened from her hidden folding chair behind the woodwind section. Her palms were damp, the velvet jewelry box and flash drive heavy in her blazer pocket. Alexis's words struck like gentle knocks on a locked door. Second chances. Nia's eyes flicked to her parents in the front row, Margaret's stiff posture, Charles's polite smile frozen in place. Alexis continued, citing inventors who failed before they soared, classmates who switched majors 3 times, and professors who saw possibility where others saw error. Applause rumbled after each example. Nia's pulse matched the clapping hands, steady, then faster. Her notes, tucked beneath the program in her lap, read only, stand. Walk. Speak the truth. Alexis glanced at the last page of her speech. Finally, I thank those who lifted me up, my professors, my friends, and most of all my family. She paused, eyes shining. You believed in me even when the odds said I'd fall. Margaret dabbed the corner of her eye with a lace handkerchief. Charles reached for her hand. Nia set her jaw. They believed in Alexis, she thought, but what about me? The program lay on her knee, the family photo missing her face. A physical erasure. The forged signature in her pocket was another. Alexis finished, to everyone here, keep giving second chances. Sometimes, the person we overlook becomes the person who changes everything. She stepped back. Thunderous applause rose. Brass instruments blared the opening of the recession hymn, camera shutters clicked. Nia stood, the sound masking her chair's scrape. She slid into the side aisle. A student marshal noticed her movement but mistook her for staff. Heart hammering, she skirted the orchestra, eyes on the small spare microphone near the stage's left edge. It waited, unused, like an open door. As the applause peaked, Nia climbed the two-step riser. Her shoes felt made of lead, yet her mind sharpened. She reached the mic exactly as the clapping died. A hush rippled outward, confused murmurs, programs pausing mid-flutter. She tightened her grip on the printed poster board, blown-up scans of her grandmother's shaky signature. She inhaled once, slow. Dean Wexler, she said, voice clear, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have been erased twice today, once from this program, and once from my grandmother's will. Gasps echoed like popped balloons. Margaret's head snapped around so quickly her hatpin quivered. Charles's mouth dropped, words lost. Alexis froze halfway off the podium, robe swirling. Dean Wexler, a silver-haired man seated behind a stack of diplomas, stood. Excuse me, who are you? He asked, trying for calm authority. Nia Carter, she replied, turning the poster toward him in the front rows. Eldest daughter of Margaret and Charles Carter. According to this, she tapped the forged signature, I was removed from my grandmother's estate without her knowledge. People leaned forward. Several graduates raised phones. The hall buzzed with low shock. Margaret shot to her feet, voice shrill as a whistle. Security. Remove her. Two uniformed campus officers near the doors started forward. Dean Wexler held up a hand. Ma'am, your daughter has presented serious allegations. We will pause the ceremony to understand. A ripple of approval, half nod, half curiosity, spread among the audience. The officers halted beside the aisle, awaiting orders. Nia handed the enlarged documents to the dean. Original scans are on this flash drive, she added, producing it. The signatures don't match any of my grandmother's previous legal filings. Proceeds from a house sale were wired to M. Carter while I served overseas. Dean Wexler examined the poster, brow furrowing. He beckoned a board member. Looks like more than a family spat, the board member murmured. Margaret's face flushed crimson. This is ridiculous. Louise was forgetful. She changed her will of her own accord. Nia met her mother's glare. Grandma's neurologist certified her mentally sound until months after that so-called revision. I have the letters. Charles rose, tugging his jacket. We will handle this in private, he said, strained politeness cracking. Murmurs swelled, private now felt impossible. Alexis, cheeks streaked with fresh tears, hurried across the stage. Nia, she whispered, voice shaking, I didn't know. I swear, I never saw those documents. Her hand grasped Nia's elbow, grounding them both. Nia softened, turning so only Alexis could hear. I never blamed you. This isn't about you, it's about the truth. Dean Wexler tapped his mic, directing attention. Ladies and gentlemen, commencement will pause while University Council reviews these claims. He faced Nia. Thank you for bringing evidence. Please accompany our legal officer. Margaret sputtered. She is embarrassing us in front of donors. A graduate in row 3 muttered loud enough to carry, looks like the parents did that themselves. Laughter, uneasy but real, rippled through caps and gowns. Security moved to flank Nia, not to restrain but to escort. The dean handed her documents back carefully. We'll sort facts from speculation, he assured. Charles tried a final plea. Nia, think of Alexis, this is her day. Alexis answered for her, stepping between her parents and sister. It's our day, she said, voice soft but firm, microphone picking it up so the entire hall heard.